Suicide Squad Isekai episode 6. So in the last episode, they fought a dragon and they killed it, and then they stole its egg, and then the egg hatched and a baby dragon came out and saw Harley, and now thanks to Harley is its mom, they got a huge weapons cache, and they were on their way towards the castle that they reclaimed in the previous episode, only to find it in ruins and all the orcs slayed, and it was caused by the Thinker and Enchantress. And that's where this episode starts off, where they're basically looking at the battlefield and they see all of the orcs that they had befriended in the prison slayed. And we even have a moment where Harley watches as her friend Beanstalk, who was the leader of the orcs, gets decapitated. And of course, this just pisses her off. And the Suicide Squad decide to go nuts on the elves. And as we're watching this, we can see that the elves are all being brainwashed. The Thinker is basically doing the same thing that the Ratcatcher did, only instead of Beastskin, he's controlling these elves. Which then, I guess, kind of throws my theory that the humans were always evil out of whack. Because my thing was, well, at first, like, the Beastskin and the elves were on the side of the humans. But then eventually, things changed in the war. Unless they ended up switching sides before the original group arrived with Rick Flag. I don't know. I mean, here the elves are obviously being controlled by the Thinker. Like, there's no doubt about it whatsoever. The question is, are the elves only on the side because of the Thinker, or did they actually switch sides before the Thinker and the rest of his group showed up? Because the humans don't seem all that generous either. Anyways, we get a big fight scene. We literally have one moment where the elf is like charging at Harley, and then she gets her kneecaps blown off by a bullet before Harley finished her off. And basically that's what we see. We see the Suicide Squad just going nuts on these elves and murdering them. And I thought this was kind of cool because like if this were any other group, you would see them looking at the elves and like, oh, these elves are obviously brainwashed. We can't kill them. So try to incapacitate them as much as you can. And then once we get rid of the Thinker, then we'll be able to free the elves. No, this gang is just like, hey man, they're evil. We're gonna kill them. Like, even though they're being brainwashed, they're obviously fighting us right now. So yeah, we're just gonna kill them. So that's basically what we get. We just get the Suicide Squad trying to kill off the elves. But of course, at some point, Enchantress and the Thinker get involved. No matter what the Suicide Squad does, they're not really able to do anything against the Thinker. Like, they chuck grenades at him. They bum rush him. Every time they try to get close, Enchantress basically puts up a shield that blocks and defends him. We have one moment where King Shark rushes at Enchantress. She puts up a shield, but he's like breaking through it. So she pulls him up into the sky and then shoots him into a body of water. And that's when he gets attacked by Killer Croc, as well as this other sea monster, which I think is from this world, just because I don't recall seeing this other sea creature anywhere in the DC comics. So yeah, well, we get King Shark versus Killer Croc and a basically Lovecraftian kind of creature. It's kind of like Dagon in a sense. So things do not go well for Killer Shark. Meanwhile, things with the Suicide Squad just get even worse, because we get a moment where the Thinker uses his ability to pretty much put the squad into like their worst nightmare. So we see Clayface and he's up on stage and everybody's booing him. We see Deadshot and his child is pulling a gun on him and asking him why did he do it? Like, why is he evil? We see Peacemaker and he's walking through just like a destroyed city and everybody's blaming him. So basically Peacemaker wasn't able to keep up the peace. So yeah, they're all in their like worst nightmares. Except for Harley. Harley's completely fine. Maybe it's just because she's too crazy. One of the elves brings like a gun to the Thinker, and Enchantress uses her powers to raise the gun and give it to the Thinker. And it seems like they're having a little bit of quarrel with each other, a verbal quarrel. And I think Enchantress does something to the gun. Because we see the Thinker, he uses the gun and he shoots Deadshot, Clayface, and Peacemaker. And everyone assumes that they're dead. Harley goes nuts and starts trying to attack Enchantress, starts breaking at her shield, starts demanding, like, how could you work for someone like this? Like, you just went from one loser to the next. Like, what's wrong with you? Don't you have any morals? Which is kind of funny for Harley to say that. about how you're just going from one psychopath to the next, about how you're working for people who don't give a damn about you, things like that. When it's like, Harley, you're kind of doing the same. Like you went from the Joker to Argus. You're working for Amanda Wheeler, who doesn't give a crap about you. Like you're working from Amanda Wheeler then to the Kingdom, which obviously doesn't give a crap about you. So it just, I kind of wish that Enchantress would have called Harley out on this. Even if the Enchantress doesn't know too much about Harley, everyone knows that Harley is with the Joker. This group now knows that they're obviously working with Amanda Wheeler. They know that they're working for the Kingdom. So why didn't Enchantress just basically call Harley out on the fact that Harley's like, you're just moving from one scumbag to another. And it's like, well, aren't you doing the same thing? You went from the Joker to Amanda Wheeler and then from Amanda Wheeler to the Queen. Like, you're doing the same thing. But no, instead, she just kind of uses her powers to blow up her shield and knocks out Harley. And then Harley has like a vision of Joker. And Joker's basically saying, like, come on, you can't give up yet. Like, you've gone into this other world, something that you've always dreamed of. You can't die here. It would be a problem for us, especially me. Which is kind of weird to see, like, a series where the Joker kind of treats Harley respectfully. Like every interaction we've seen between Joker and Harley has been pretty positive. As positive as two psychopaths being in a relationship could be. Like Joker isn't like abusing her or anything like that. It seems like he actually cares for her, which is very, very like interesting to see, because anyone like who knows the relationship between the two of them will know that it's not healthy whatsoever. Like Joker is constantly abusing Harley both physically and verbally in another way. But people who don't know always try to like gush it up as like some kind of Bonnie and Clyde situation, and it's like, nah, you don't want that kind of relationship. They're not good for each other, especially for Harley. But she wakes up and she sees Rick Flag, and Rick Flag is basically doing a bluff where he says that he has the power to detonate bombs in their necks. The thing is that they don't have bombs in their necks, but the Thinker and Enchantress aren't 100% sure about that. Like, the Thinker is starting to call Rick Flag on his bluff, like, basically saying, well, like, if there are bombs in our necks that you could control, you would have set them off as soon as we betrayed your group. And Rick Flag's like, you would think so, but my orders are to bring you back alive. So this is a very last resort. This is why I didn't set off the bomb as soon as you betrayed me, because I still had a feeling that I could get you guys back. Like, this is the absolute last resort, and now you're going to make me do it. So do you want me to blow up the bombs in your neck? And that's when Killer Croc shows up with the unconscious body of Killer Shark. And the Thinker is like, well, I don't know if this guy is bluffing or not. We destroyed the castle. We killed off the Orcs. We took out 3 of the Suicide Squad, and now there's nothing left but a unconscious shark man and a broken psychologist. I think we've won. So the Thinker and Enchantress leave. And of course, Rick Flag is bluffing this entire time. There are no bombs in their necks, but they don't know that. And so Harley starts crying over the body of Deadshot, which, interesting. I don't know if she's just crying over her comrades and Deadshot's the one that she chose, because there really is no relationship between Harley and Deadshot in this series. I know there are some in like the comics. There's also like a relationship between Harley and Rick Flag, depending on which comic you read. So I don't know if that's what they were trying to hint at here, but there's been no romantic moments whatsoever between Harley and Deadshot. My thing is just that she's come to see these people as friends. They're dead. She can't be crying over all their bodies, so she cries over the one that's closest to her, which happens to be Deadshot. But then that's when Clayface wakes up and basically reveals that something is up with the bullets. Like, he pulls a bullet out and it's like, it's a little bit green. He says that the bullet did legit knock him out, but it didn't kill him, obviously. And so he creates a paper fan out of his arm and he smacks Deadshot and Peacemaker in the face, waking them up. And they all realize that, yeah, the bullets somehow were changed so that it would knock them out instead of kill them. And they ask Deadshot if he did that, and he's like, no. Which makes me think, all right, this is Enchantress, especially since the bullet has like a little bit of green on it, which is what Enchantress's powers do. Enchantress somehow manipulated the bullets in the gun so that it would knock out the Suicide Squad rather than kill them. So maybe the words Harley used on her earlier is getting to her. Maybe she's having issues with the Thinker. For whatever reason, Enchantress manipulated the bullets to protect the Suicide Squad. And then the next moment, we see them back in jail. And I wish the series would mention why they keep going back to the kingdom to be thrown into jail. I brought this up in the last episode that it didn't make any sense, and I'm going to bring it up again because this keeps happening. They keep going out, they do a mission, and then once their mission is done, they go into jail. And then they get out of jail, they go do a mission, and then they get thrown back in jail again. And the thing is that there's no reason for them to do this. Like, their mission is to have the kingdom win this war. But that doesn't mean that they have to be at the kingdom at all times. They could just basically wander this world, fighting off all of the kingdom's enemies, fighting against the Empire. There's no reason for them to keep going back, especially when they know they're just going to be thrown in jail. Especially when they have no idea how long they're going to be in jail, because they still have the bombs on their necks. There's still a timer counting down. The bomb's going to go off every 72 hours. They have no idea if the Queen is going to keep them in jail for like half a week before giving them their next mission or not. So them constantly going back to the kingdom only to be thrown in jail, especially now that they have all their weapons, all their armor, and now they have a huge weapons cache. Like, none of this makes any sense. So I wish this series would address that. It can even just be a throwaway line where they just mention like, hey, we keep coming back here because, I don't know, we're trying to strain the relationship between us and the kingdom. I don't know, just something. Give me something. It doesn't make any sense to me. Why are you going to keep going back to the place that's constantly throwing you in prison and risking your life? Again, I understand like fighting against the Empire because that's your mission. And if you don't do your mission, the bombs are going to blow up. However, when I say risking your life, I mean risking your life in the sense that you're being thrown into prison for who knows how long while you have a timer that's going to go off if you don't keep going towards the gate. So you would think, hey, maybe we should just wander around the area, fight all the Empire men that we see, help the kingdom in that way, and every 72 hours we can go close to the gate and then go back out and just keep doing this until their mission is done. But no, instead they go back to the kingdom where they get thrown into prison. The Queen blames the loss on them and basically tells everyone else, like, hey, no, all of you guys are freaking out, but don't worry. Yeah, we lost one of the castles, but it was already basically in ruins, and we didn't lose any soldiers. All we lost were a bunch of prisoners, which were the Orcs. So, yeah, this is the fault of the Suicide Squad. This is what happens when we allow other people to try to fight our battles for us. We should be showing our own might, and we're going to have the Suicide Squad executed at dawn the next day. So yeah, this Queen is just, again, nothing about this kingdom is good. The only good people you can say would be the princess and Cecil, the hero. Other than that, like, all the nobles are just awful warmongers. The Queen is just a crazy, narcissistic, see you next Tuesday. Like, there's no good people here. But the princess is basically like, hey, like, why are we gonna try to kill them? Like, they're helping us. Yeah, they failed on this last mission, but it's not like we would have done any better. And the Queen basically like tells her to shut up. So we have a moment where the princess is talking to Cecil in her room and basically saying how we have to free the Suicide Squad. I can't let them get killed for trying to help us. Like, this doesn't seem right. And then that's when we cut to the prison where everyone is basically down on their luck. King Shark is just in a fetal position, not necessarily crying, but he's kind of just he's in a depressive mood because he lost, and this is, like, I guess the first time he's ever lost or something. Maybe he's never fought the Batman before at this point in time. But everyone's just kind of like bummed out because not only did they see their worst fears, but they ended up losing. And that's when the baby dragon shows up, and Harley is like, I can't feed you now because mommy's stuck in here. And they try to get the baby dragon to free them, but the baby dragon, like, it tries to blow fire on the bars, but it can't, like, get the fire hot enough or long enough to do anything. So they're like, well, I guess this is it. And then that's when Cecil shows up and mentions that we're gonna let you escape. Be quiet. You got to get out of here. The queen wants you dead in the morning, but this doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem right to get you killed for fighting our battles for us just because you lost one of them. Like, that's no way to be treating people that put their lives on the line for us. And then that's when the princess shows up and kind of just says the same thing. And then Harley kind of questions the princess. Like, why are you doing this? And the princess has a flashback. And this was a flashback that we saw in the previous episode. I didn't really bring too much attention to it, but that moment where the princess as a child is hanging on the rooftop with a human boy, an elf girl, and a beastkin, there's more to that scene. Basically, the human boy has a brother who's sick. They don't have enough money for food or medicine for his brother. And so it's one of those things where it's like, well, we either keep buying medicine and then we starve to death, or we buy food, but then my brother will die because he has no medicine. And that's when like he kind of just talks about how the nobles are just a bunch of fat losers who get all the food and they're not sharing it with the civilians. And that's when the princess mentions that the soldiers get food. There is basically a group that follows the soldiers around and creates meals for them, and they stay back at the camp. And so the boy's like, wait, so there's food at the camp, at the soldiers' camp? And then that's when he decides that he's going to sneak into the camp to get some food so that he can bring it back to his family. But the soldiers mistake him for, I don't know, I guess a villain of the, like a member of the Empire, so they kill him. Yeah, they just kill this child because he was trying to steal food. And so the princess is upset because she feels like it was her fault. She's the one that put into her friend's head that there's food at this camp. He went to go get it, and now he was killed. So she got her friend killed. And she goes to his grave, and his brother is already there, and he blames her. And so she runs away crying. The queen slaps her in the face and basically says, this is what you get for leaving the castle. You shouldn't be messing around with the common folk. It was your mistake that got this child killed. Maybe now you'll learn your lesson. And so this is something that's been haunting her entire life. And so she doesn't want to make another mistake again. And she doesn't know if she's making a mistake by letting the Suicide Squad go. But at the same time, she feels like it would be a mistake if she allowed them to get killed. So that's why she's like letting them go and hoping that this time freeing them won't be a mistake. So yeah, the Suicide Squad is free. They have their weapons cached. They have a carriage, and they're basically leaving to go fight the Empire. Meanwhile, we cut to the Thinker, who realizes that the Suicide Squad has to visit this gate regularly to deactivate the bombs or to reset the bombs in their neck. And so he uses a bunch of elven sorceresses to create basically a fortress, and he's going to be guarding this gate. So if the Suicide Squad want the bombs on their neck to be reset, they have to come to him, and that's how the episode ends. Yeah, this is kind of like a downer episode in the sense that everything that can go wrong for the Suicide Squad does end up going wrong. They lose this big battle. They almost get killed. They get thrown into prison again where they're going to be executed. But they're able to get free. And now they have to come up with a plan to fix the mistake that they made against their first battle with the Thinker and Enchantress. They have to come up with some way that they can get around these two and kill them. Yeah, I enjoyed this episode a lot. A lot of cool fight scenes. The fight moments here were better than the fight in the last episode. Like some of the animation with the Harley, especially with Harley fighting against the dragon, just anybody fighting against the dragon was kind of off. The animation here was a bit better, and yeah, I like the fact that our characters aren't invincible, because that's one thing that's very, very boring that I see in a lot of modern day stories where you have your heroes never losing, especially if they're like female-led characters. But here we don't get that. Like Harley is, I guess you could say Harley is technically the lead in this series. And yeah, she and her team got absolutely destroyed in this episode. So it's nice to see characters that fail, because then you get to see them pick themselves back up again and overcome obstacles. And basically that's the hero's journey, which a lot of Hollywood seems to have forgotten about. So I enjoy this a lot. I think this is a great series. Some people have been calling it mid. I don't know why. I mean, I guess compared to other anime that's out there, I wouldn't rank this as like the top series that I've watched. Not even like in the past year or so. Like there are other series that are better, but in terms of just like fun, dumb entertainment, this is totally it. Like if you just want something just to watch, just to have fun, just to shut your brain off for a while, watch this. It's the best thing coming out of the comic book industry in a long time. It's entertaining. It's not like anything that's challenging or breaking boundaries or anything like that. It's just a lot of dumb fun. It's basically just popcorn entertainment, just something that you just watch just to shut your brain off and just kind of escape for a while and just enjoy, a 20-minute episode. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. Thought it was good. Been enjoying the series so far. We got, 4 more episodes to go. I think episode 10 is the last one. And I don't know if there's going to be a season 2. So, it's been a fun ride so far. There you go. Episode 6. I hope you enjoyed and hope to see you next time. Take care. Later. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, I still want to thank you for watching it this far, and I hope the next one is more to your liking. With that said, thank you once again, and I hope you guys and gals have a good one. Later.